make a podcast.
All right, let's do this. Definitely don't be nervous or freak out.
All right, everyone, warm up those brains. It's time for the Get More Smarter podcast. Happy Valentine's Day. This is episode 225. I'm Jason Bane. Ian is still dealing with a rough case of diaper rash, and so is his newborn son. I'll be here all week. This week on the Get More Smarter podcast, we continue to keep you updated on what you need to be watching as the Trump administration floods the zone with nonsense. Gabe Evans may be earning a new nickname, while Lauren Boebert just keeps on doing Lauren Boebert things. We'll discuss the good and the bad in the state legislature, and we've got more groans as Colorado Republicans continue playing silly games. But first, I'd like to introduce our guest host this week. Megan Burns is a member of the North Glen City Council and a marketing genius who has been helping us boost the podcast on every corner of the internet, places I didn't even realize existed. I'm thrilled our audience gets a chance to hear your voice and see your face. Welcome, officially.
Thank you. I'm, moderately excited. I'm kidding. I'm very excited to be here.
Just like our audience, moderately excited.
Yeah, I think the best part is if I fuck it up in any kind of way, for YouTube, you know what I mean? I can just edit all of this out. Because that's what I do. You know what I mean? So
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into the political stuff, we've got some news to share about the growth of the podcast. I'm going to put some graphics up to share that Megan should be able to explain better than I can. Let's look at this first one since we've been on YouTube. God, that's been, what, a month?
We've been on YouTube since the beginning of November. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is our last 28 days of growth, though. We launched. We did a soft launch on YouTube, and then we've really been consistent. I would say probably the last 30, 40 days.
Are we into a hard launch yet?
We did not. We were planning on doing a hard launch.
Medium launch.
Yeah. We do what we can in the best way we can. But this was a milestone I was really excited about.
10,000 views in 28 days?
Yes. We hit almost 150 hours of watch time in the last 28 days as well. And, we're getting subscribers. We're getting about one every other day. And so on average with YouTube, they say you need about 300 to 500 views to get one subscriber, right? So we're doing pretty good.
Wow.
And they say on average, for a channel, for your longer form videos, you need to hit 20 views to be good. And we're crushing that right now with averaging between 50, and our one video is probably going to be our first to hit 100 views for long form.
Wow.
That is the one where I think you guys, it's called Republicans Unleash the Idiocy or something like that.
That could be any episode, really.
Really, yeah. But if you aren't following us on YouTube, even if you like to listen to just the audio version, I still listen to the audio version, even though I made Ian and Jason do YouTube. Please go follow us, because just to help the algorithm, because we right now are getting, which is fine because engagement is engagement, we're getting a lot of hate watching from people, which is great.
Nice.
Yeah. And this stat is amazing too.
Yeah,
so it shows,
for people who can't see it, it says how many chose to view in the last 28 days. About 57% of people chose and 43% swiped away. Is that good?
Yeah, that's really good, because that means more people, the algorithm is learning us as a channel, and it's learning who to put the content in front of, and the content is engaging enough that people are watching it for the needed amount of time. Our average watch time is actually 40 to 75% of our videos, which is great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks, algorithm.
Yeah. So we're doing it. It's so fun tip, if anyone who's listening wants to do YouTube, it's very SEO driven and clickbaity. So a lot of our early shorts, my titles were so clickbaity. But now we don't even have to do that as much, which is really, really nice. It's just kind of moving into the actual content we want to do.
And it's good because that means I don't have to do any partial nudity, because no one wants that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, our channel is listed not for children, so that would be okay. But,
Well, this is, I'm sure Ian would say the same thing. This is all thanks to you. So we really appreciate you making us stick our faces online.
Thanks. Yeah, and now you got me to do it too. So
Yeah, that's right. It all comes around.
we're all just a fun, little, happy, modern podcast family now.
That's right. Let's talk about Donald Trump. The Trump administration. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
The Trump administration is intentionally flooding the zone with crap to make it hard to know what they're really doing or really focusing on. So our job here, as we said before, is to focus on the most important parts. And we'll start with Trumpflation. It's here. And it's
here.
Joe Biden's fault, I guess.
Yeah. Super fun.
Donald Trump campaigned pretty heavily on he was going to cut prices of groceries and gas and everything else. And since he got elected, he's really backed off on that. And now the numbers are not great.
No, I mean, he was backing off on this before inauguration even. He was like, once prices are up, it's really hard for them to come down. And inflation weirdly spiked this month or in January. So we're doing great.
Yeah, it's awesome. Here's ABC News with a little more.
This morning, new pressure on the
Can you
Trump
hear it?
administration to take action after a new report shows inflation on the rise. The president campaigned heavily on his promise to lower prices the day he took office.
Starting on day one, we will end inflation. We will end inflation, and we
Day
will
one.
make
Remember.
America affordable again.
This is not day
But
one.
just 3 weeks into his term, a government report shows inflation climbed to 3% in January,
Oh.
higher than economists' expectations. President Trump blamed his predecessor, writing Biden inflation up.
I have to
Teflon Don.
I cut back on a lot of stuff.
Americans are now paying more for food, energy, medical bills, car insurance, and repairs.
Food and gas, it all comes out of the same pocket.
Experts say with the Trump administration's tariffs on steel, aluminum, and goods from China now in effect, prices could climb even higher. It comes as the cost of eggs soars 15% in just a month, driven in large part by the bird flu. Now, some states and businesses are taking action. In Nevada, the governor is expected to sign a bipartisan bill suspending laws demanding that only cage-free eggs be sold in the state. 14 other states have similar laws. And in Northford, Connecticut, a farmer is now renting chickens.
With the rent the chickens, we bring
Wait,
everything for them, from the little coop to the food, everything you need.
Well, it costs about
Okay.
$500
You can
to
rent a
rent
chicken.
2 chickens for 6 months. Farmer Joe says they will provide up to 2 dozen eggs per week.
Okay.
All right. Well, yeah.
Rent a chicken.
Rent a chicken, I guess. Trying to not rent a bird flu chicken. The numbers, though, are not great. The consumer price index up 3% for the 12 months ending in January. Strong price increases in categories like groceries, gasoline, prescription drugs, vehicle insurance, pretty much anything that you could get by exchanging money.
Yeah.
Grocery prices up 0.5% from December to January, a rise of the 0.3% rise from November to December. I don't know how this is Joe Biden's fault, but and I don't know how long you can keep that up. Like, Gerald Ford's fault. How long do we do this?
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like the market responds in real time to real things, and people adjust prices in real time. And so I don't really know how this is a past issue. But yeah.
Well, and this might be the last month that he can really get away with that, I would think. I mean, these are his numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of other news that's not great about the economy. In a not unrelated move, Chevron announced that it is slashing 20% of its entire workforce in a cost-cutting move. I guess we have not released all the energy or whatever.
No. Yeah.
And Trump's continued obsession with tariffs, economists say, will make things worse. So this is not a good path we're on.
Turns out trade wars really aren't great for economies.
And I wonder at what point people Trump is still in that honeymoon phase where his approval numbers are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to turn pretty quickly, though, as these prices don't change or get higher.
Yeah, I read a poll yesterday that it was like, I mean, he is presently second from the bottom, from like approval ratings and like the beginning of a presidency. The only person he's ahead of is himself in his first term. But it was like 60% of people thought that like he was doing everything he promised, which I thought was like a weird stat because he like it just showed like I'm going to lower prices, I'm going to lower prices.
Right, it's the flood the zone thing. It looks like he's doing a lot.
Yeah.
But you see all the headlines, and you're like, oh, he's really busy, but he's not doing stuff that helps you.
No, he's actively hurting Americans as you live in this world of like traditional media, and I feel like I live in the new media, and it's like there's so many videos on TikTok and Instagram just of people crying to the camera about like about like farmers are gonna lose their farms because the IRA is getting repealed, USAID. I don't think people realize how much the government pays farmers to grow food for international people. And, people who rely on SNAP benefits and things like that are just now crying, being like, I voted for him, but I didn't vote for this.
Yeah, you did. I mean, you did.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting.
More not great news. Most of Trump's major cabinet nominees have now been approved by a completely gutless Republican Senate.
Yeah.
We played clips of Senator Michael Bennet in a recent episode challenging Trump nominees Tulsi Gabbard for national Director of National Intelligence and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Health and Human Services. Both of those people have made it through and are now officially in their position. Here's Senator John Hickenlooper voicing his concerns.
Our government plays a critical role in informing the public. American people look to us for trust. They look to us for guidance during the roughest points of our history. They look to us for factual, accurate information so they can have the freedom to raise their families without fear and anxiety. That trust is broken when partisan officials use their platforms to spread reckless and damaging information. They attempt to overwhelm Americans with views that push anti-science narratives or foreign propaganda. You can't go on to social media anymore without running into a fake headline or some hyperbolic claim with no source. Unfortunately, the new administration has shown a bias towards elevating people who peddle disinformation, spreading seemingly random falsehoods about our voting systems, marginalized groups, our public health. Yet the Trump administration's appetite for anti-scientific claims and disinformation is something that in many ways threatens all of us. It puts our country at risk.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yep. Very anti-science. Very anti-science.
Yes. And now that most of Trump's nominees have made it through, or most of the big ones anyway, I want to ask you, and we did a poll on Colorado Polls about this, who concerns you the most? If you could undo one of these cabinet members, who would it be?
My gut reaction is RFK, just because as a woman, like his flip-floppy stance on abortion is sending red flags all over about a national abortion ban coming down the pike. That's very concerning. Also, I have young kids who get sick all the time. And this shocking amount of raw milk content that is popping up on social media. Dear
now
Lord.
That the bird flu has moved to cows and other animals.
Yes.
Let's not drink raw milk right now, please.
No. And like, oh my God, it's just like, it's freaking me out. I mean, so my gut is RFK Jr. But Tulsi Gabbard, I don't know. And then, okay, the Department of Education, McMahon, is up today.
I mean, she'll get through, and then they'll get rid of her job.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll try to anyway.
Yeah. She is also very, very, very worrisome to me.
Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, is the one that has always freaked me out the most for a couple of reasons. One,
Is it her Cruella hair that like indicates that she's a villain, or?
Yeah, it doesn't help. That's
Yeah.
part of it. This is a role that we also aren't going to see much of. This is this is a top secret kind of position that isn't going to play out in the public. So we don't know all the things she's going to do. But the bigger problem to me is that this is someone who has been credibly accused of being a spy or at least someone who eagerly spreads Russian propaganda. She visited former Syrian President Bashar Assad years ago. This is not someone who should have access to all of our secrets.
No. You know who I also just remembered, because talking about flooding the zone, freaking head and his weird. So I have tattoos, and I'm on like the tattoo side of the internet. And there was like right after he got appointed,
Wait, there's a non-tattoo side of the internet?
Yes, there is. It's super boring.
Oh.
All of these tattoo artists, including the guy who did my rib piece, was saying that everyone thought his tattoo on his forearm said "We the People," but tattoo artists are claiming it doesn't. It says like "Weibe People," which is German for white people, which is like a white power tattoo.
Oh, rad.
Yeah, so that like tattoo artists are saying like it was like a bad cover up or like something like, but it does not say "We the People" as people have thought.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
Well, we'll talk more about Hegseth in a moment when we get to our segment on Gabe Evans. The other big issue that I think is kind of quietly moving along, but is potentially the biggest issue, is the constitutional crisis that we're about to walk into. Let's go to PBS NewsHour for more there.
Welcome to the NewsHour. Today, a federal judge said that President Donald Trump violated his order that lifted a blanket freeze on federal spending and again directed the administration to release the funds.
That, as top prosecutors in nearly half the country just won a temporary legal victory, restoring medical research funding stripped late last week. White House correspondent Laura Lopez joins us now for more. So, Laura, we're 3 weeks into the Trump administration. You're seeing a growing number of federal judges describe the president's actions as overreach. What more did federal judges say about Mr. Trump's attempts to freeze some of those federal funds?
So on that sweeping freeze of federal funding, District Judge John McConnell said in a ruling today that the Trump administration's continued freeze of those funds, quote, violate the plain text of an order that he previously issued, saying that they needed to stop and that they needed to release all of those funds. And Judge McConnell called Trump's actions, quote, likely unconstitutional, and said that the freeze continues to, quote, cause irreparable harm to much of the country. Now, he didn't hold any government officials in criminal contempt, but hinted that he might in the future if they violate this order. And he specifically ordered the administration to stop freezing money for the infrastructure law, for the Inflation Reduction Act, those are Biden-era laws, as well as said that that the administration needed to release funding for the National Institutes of Health. So the big question here, Amna, is does the Trump administration comply with this judge's order? I asked the White House, they didn't answer that question. And there's some suggestions from people like Vice President Pence as well as Elon Musk that they think that the administration should defy the court orders.
You mentioned National Institutes of Health, or NIH. On Friday night, we should remind folks.
So what's happening here, we talked recently about that federal freeze on a bunch of funds, which includes hundreds of millions of dollars for Colorado. You heard them talk about it in PBS NewsHour. What if the Trump administration just ignores the judge?
Yeah.
And says, hey, you can't arrest the president. You can't. What happens?
Right. I saw a clip online of that like went pretty viral of like they're talking about like, you know, what judges usually do is like then send like the Department of Justice like or marshals to put people like to hold them accountable, and right. But like they report to Trump and they're obviously not going to do that. Right. And so it's this like cyclical like circle of oh shit, you know?
Well, I was thinking the other day, I imagine the founding fathers never really considered what would happen if a president just flat out ignored the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And, Congress has the power of the purse. They always say that.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is taking that over, and Republicans in Congress are like, hey, whatever. States are suing. Colorado is one of the states that are suing. But as of this recording, there's still no movement on unfreezing funding that is very important to a lot of different programs like Head Start, Medicaid, things. I mean, this is one of those slow burning things that I think people aren't totally paying attention to yet. But it's not hyperbole to say this gets to the very fundamental idea of our democracy.
Yeah. I remember thinking like it was just like a couple days that they were in office when they tried to do the birthright citizen. They tried to revoke that. And the press secretary was like, well, we think it's unconstitutional to have birthright citizenship when it's literally in the Constitution.
Right.
And
Right.
so I was like, that's like a very bold thing to say in front of reporters. And
Right.
that was very worrisome to me. God, it's only been like 2 weeks. And like, yeah. So I don't know. I am concerned.
This is the one that really riles my gut. Like it really makes me nervous because another couple of weeks, if nothing happens, somebody's gonna have to press this somehow, and I don't know how. Unless because the only other option is to say, well, our three branches of government don't matter anymore. It's just the executive branch. Is that what we want to do? I mean, that's what's happening.
That is what's happening. I mean, that was the plan. I feel like we were yelling about Project 2025 for months, and now they're doing it, and they put people who wrote it into cabinet positions, and people are like, what's happening? I can't believe this is happening. And you're like, okay, well, they literally wrote it and put it online and like put it in a book, like, and they told you. Like when like my mom used to say this to me all the time. It's like when people tell you who they are, what they're going to do, like believe them.
Yes. And again, this is one of those things that we don't, nobody has any experience with this. We don't know what to do. I remember when Trump in 2020 accepted the Republican nomination for president on the lawn of the White House. A clear violation of the Hatch Act that had never been done before in this country. And everyone was sort of like, yeah, but we don't know what to do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who do we arrest? Who closes the door? There is no answer.
No, I feel like so much of our government has been like, it's like, have you ever heard of like the thin veil of society?
Yeah.
Theory? Yeah. Like it's like we've been built on like civility, and like that is just like going down the toilet so fast. And we don't know what to do.
We don't. And it's going to, things could get real weird real quick.
Yeah. I try not to like freak out and doom scroll all the time, but you did a great piece on Colorado polls the other day that I'm like, and I was like freaking out, weeping, sending it to my friends, being like, see, I'm not just chronically online, like it's real. Like,
yeah, I don't think people get it yet, what's happening.
Yeah, I think this is a lot like reproductive rights issues, like until it hits them, like we're slowly seeing these like testimonials and like first person narratives online pop up of like first it was the farmers, then it's the food stamps, and then like when people lose childcare or like preschool
or they lose their federal job or that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, then I think it's going to start to bubble. It's going to be that ripple effect of like, I mean, it's that poem, right? They came for them and then I did nothing, and then until it comes for them, they're like, people aren't going to do anything.
And it's the Republicans that are always talking about what a great nation this is and what a great democracy we have, who are just letting it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Letting it just go be eroded right in front of our eyes.
And, not to like call back to like a couple episodes ago with Professor Papitsky, but like I constantly think about what he was saying about how we're not going to have a social revolution in this country. And I've been like stuck on that for a minute because I think we're too separated, right?
Right.
Our cities aren't close enough together to do anything like that. And so like relying, and when he said it's probably going to be Johnson who takes them out, I don't know, I'm just like not seeing that happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we do. Before we get off this subject of Trump, I want to try to end on a little slightly brighter note.
After our literal doom sadness.
It is yes, it is very doomy. But the Chuck and Julie show, which is a right-wing podcast radio show in Colorado, recently put something up about their latest episode that really cracked me up. I'll share this here. It says Trump is Thanos. Just like Thanos, Trump snaps his fingers and bureaucrats and deep state swamp creatures do whatever he wants. Did they not see the second part of the movie? I mean, these are long movies, the Avengers movies, but Thanos died, and everything he worked on got reversed in the end.
Yeah. It is. It's so funny too that I feel like Republicans constantly refer to Thanos as being like this ultimate villain because like wasn't Bernie Sanders also Thanos? Like for a while, like weren't they like saying like Biden was also Thanos? Yeah. So everyone is Thanos apparently.
But if the outcome of Thanos is the same outcome for Trump, I'll be cool with that. If it all gets undone in the end, it works for me.
Yeah. We just need Benedict Cumberbatch, I guess.
All right, let's talk a little bit about our seventh favorite member of Congress from Colorado.
My representative.
Ah, yes. Gabe Evans has been his vacuous self in the first 2 months in Congress, ducking every question of substance, and then putting out a video to, I don't know, show that people have said his name a lot. This is weird.
This killed me.
Here's the video.
Gabe Evans is a brand new legislator.
Newly sworn in Republican Congressman Gabe Evans.
Congressman Gabe Evans.
Republicano Gabe Evans.
Gabe Evans.
Gabe Evans.
Gabe Evans. Gabe Evans.
Gabe Evans.
Congressman Gabe Evans.
Gabe Evans.
Is looking to make a name for himself.
Con experiencia en la policía
So
y en el ejército.
Demanding changes to some immigration laws.
I'm glad that he and other members of Congress took the lead.
Being able to get to work here really does speak to what the American dream is truly the honor of a lifetime.
The empty shelf.
Yeah, here's what cracks me up about this, among other things. You heard that part where Kyle Clark of 9 News says Gabe Evans' name. Here's the rest of that sentence.
I know.
Here's the rest of that sentence.
Newly sworn in Republican Congressman Gabe Evans ducked questions today about whether he will support one of his party's top priorities, a bill that would strip federal funding from the state of Colorado over its immigration-related policy.
Well, but he said his name, so that's good.
He didn't say anything good about him, but
No.
he acknowledged that he is a human in this world.
I mean, this is what Gabe Evans is trying to do. He's trying to sneak through. He just says whatever Trump wants, and then he's trying to sneak by just sort of, I don't know, existing as Gabe Evans and hoping people will be like, oh, that's cool. So people on the news said his name. He must be good.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't that he was elected to Congress and is a representative of Colorado, so therefore the news should just be naturally talking about him. But
All right. But he's setting quite the low bar for himself. He's also maybe earning a new nickname. Perhaps we should call him Gabachoff, because he's got a Russia problem after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth recently spoke at NATO headquarters in Brussels about the Ukraine war. Take a look at this.
The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement. Instead, any security guarantee must be backed by capable European and non-European troops. If these troops are deployed as peacekeepers to Ukraine at any point, they should be deployed as part of a non-NATO mission and they should not be covered under Article 5. There also must be robust international oversight of the line of contact. To be clear, as part of any security guarantee, there will not be U.S. troops deployed to Ukraine.
Hegseth also said that the other thing that made headlines was that Ukraine cannot hope to end the war and maintain its old boundaries, essentially saying Russia is going to get whatever land it has already captured. And that is a problem for Gabish, because here's what he said in December about this very issue. He said, quote, "We cannot reward Putin in any way, shape, or form. Appeasing dictators just never works out," unquote. Well, we're appeasing dictators now, and what's Gabe going to say? Anything?
I mean, no.
No?
No. He hasn't said anything about anything yet. I subscribed to his newsletter. I've gotten one newsletter.
Is it just say Gabe Evans?
Literally, it literally just promoted that video.
But he's going to get asked this question, hopefully, by reporters. Do you agree with the Trump administration essentially giving away Ukrainian land to Russia? Given what he said, I mean, he either has to back up the Trump administration or admit that he was completely full of shit in what he said just 2 months ago.
Yeah, and I don't know. He'll say some sort of like nothing statement that I assume, but I assume he'll be a hardliner with Trump. But I don't know. I don't see how he moves forward with this. I don't know.
No, this is a very clear example of him putting himself on the complete opposite side of Trump. And he's on the right side if he sticks to that comment. But will he? I doubt it.
Yeah, I also doubt it.
We'll see if he's brave enough to say what he really believes. All right, let's move over to our 8th favorite member of Congress from Colorado.
Yay.
Lauren Boebert is apparently very excited to impeach judges who don't just do whatever Donald Trump wants. So Boebert is saying that she would like to join efforts to impeach certain federal judges who aren't just letting Trump do whatever he wants. Again, these are Republican judges who are just trying to follow the actual Constitution.
Do their jobs, you mean?
Do their jobs. And MAGA folks like Boebert are like, no, Trump has to be able to do whatever he wants. I mean, we're literally, I think, getting closer to the moment when Boebert inadvertently co-sponsors a bill to impeach herself. That is not that's a possible outcome at this point.
She's like, I support it.
If Trump told her to resign, would she?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, because then where would she go? She'd probably go to one of his many, whatever his state sponsored news networks we're all going to have glued to our eyeballs soon. So,
right. Right.
Which was her dream all along, right? She's a failed actress.
Right. So the people of Congressional District 4, your representative is only representing one person, and he doesn't live here.
No. Yeah, because she clearly does not care about Colorado and actually passing legislation, because all of her bills are gobbledygook. You know what I mean? I signed a petition against her one at Red Rocks last summer that was anti-science, and I was like, what is this that she's trying to do?
It's completely unhelpful to anything. Most of what she's doing and most of what she's spending her time doing is just it's still just culture war nonsense. There was this one story that really cracked me up that Elon Musk recently had claimed falsely that the news outlet Politico was getting millions of dollars in funding from U.S. aid, the food aid program that he's trying to get rid of. Boebert naturally jumped right onto this, posting on X, quote, newsflash, no one trusts media funded by the deep state, unquote. Turns out, turns out Boebert's office paid Politico $7,000 for your year-long subscription last year. Obviously, she's not reading it, but my God, just pause before you're. She's so excited to just jump on board whatever Musk and Trump say that she doesn't even realize that she's doing the other thing.
Yes.
It's just incredible.
It's the like blind support that is just like, I don't know, maybe she needs newer glasses. I don't know. But it's just like, I cannot with all of this from just like a lot of Republicans across the board.
Yeah, it's just, she has no idea what's happening. And she's just like, I'm with you. That's what I mean when it's like, if somebody proposed a bill and it included that she would be out of office, she's not going to look at it. She'll be like, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Because the bills are too long, right, for her to read. She said that multiple times. Yeah.
Big words. Too many big words.
Yeah.
And finally, we have to talk about what Boebert is really interested in, which is just being a, I don't know, G-list celebrity. I don't know. How low can you go on the celebrity scale?
I think G is about right for her. That's
G?
Yeah, G.
The New York Post, page 6, is reporting that as part of the inauguration festivities, Boebert was apparently spotted getting into a cab with Kid Rock, shown here.
This photo for me is so funny.
Yeah, I don't know what to say here. I'll leave this one to you.
It's just her face. He's smoking a cigar and has a stupid hat on. She has like a 1920s flapper dress on.
Yes,
I just like, I don't know like what is happening here. And there's too many male ponytails happening in the background as well. Like
true.
It's also though, like this is a match, right? Like I feel like Kid Rock and Lauren Boebert, like I just feel like they could do a lot of like nonsensical, like if he writes a song about her,
I don't care as long as they don't reproduce. That's my only request. Just don't make kids, please.
I don't know, she's my age and also a grandmother at my age.
Yes she doesn't need any more kids also, but this is not a genetic combination the world needs. Let's just leave it at that.
No, but I'm hoping there's like good gossip that comes out of this.
I imagine this is one of those where Kid Rock woke up in the morning and was like, "Hey."
The fake tan.
Walk of shame, man.
All right. I mean, that's feminist of him, though, for a male walk of shame. Like, I'm here for it. So.
All right. Yeah. Let's give him that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about the state legislature. There is a gun bill compromise apparently in the works. Senate Bill 3 has been one of the most discussed bills this session because of language that appeared to mean that most guns with removable clips could no longer be sold in Colorado. That was never true. For example, only gas-powered handguns were included in the bill. But it did need some changes because Governor Jared Polis had signaled that he would veto the bill. The Senate apparently has approved some changes that would ban the manufacture and sale of semi-automatic rifles, shotguns, and pistols, but carving out exceptions for people who complete an extensive training course, and it also pulls out some specific weapons, though it leaves in guns like rifles like the AR-15, the AK-47. The whole point of this bill that Senator Tom Sullivan is sponsoring was to put some teeth into the 2013 gun magazine limit passed by the legislature that has essentially been ignored ever since. This seems like a good compromise. What do you think?
As a mom of like young
Don't get me wrong,
kid.
I'm all in favor of the first version, but
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think it's a good compromise, and like I understand, 62 of our 64 counties are rural in Colorado, and like people use guns for a vast number of things. I struggle with this on a personal level of just, safety.
Colorado, I think, is doing a pretty good job of trying to get some of these gun safety measures through. We've done a handful of them in the last couple of sessions. This would be one of the bigger ones in a long time, maybe in the country.
Yeah.
And, if it affects the AR, if it restricts, makes it harder to get an AR-15, an AK-47, a tactical shotgun.
Yeah.
Then I think we accomplished some good things. When I say we, I mean Democrats.
Yeah. And I trust Senator Sullivan to put forward a bill that he thinks is good.
Yeah.
And
he
will make
said last year
change.
that an assault weapons ban was not the way to go.
No.
This was his idea instead. Because his whole point is to get rid of like the 30-round magazines, the 100-round magazines.
Mm-hmm.
His son, of course, was killed in the Aurora Theater shooting, and that assailant had weapons with extended magazines.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think this is a great step moving forward,
Yeah.
And like I said, I trust Senator Sullivan that he won't compromise too much. And you know what I mean? And he has a good vision of like what works best for Colorado and Coloradans, I think.
And if this means Governor Polis will not veto the bill, then it's going to get passed because Democrats have the votes.
Yeah.
So it's not a giant leap forward, but I think it's I don't know, what's short of a leap? A hop? It's a good hop.
Skip? Yeah.
Skip and a hop? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good skip and a hop forward.
Yeah. I think it's a good step, and I support it. Because I, would like to see, you gotta take a license. You gotta have. I think insurance would solve a lot of our gun problems.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, people have long used the comparison to vehicles. You have to have a license to drive a car. It should be at least as difficult to have a gun. Let's talk about the other side of the aisle. In a segment we haven't done in a while, it's time for legislating with crayons. I do have I don't know if you've ever heard this one. The jingle. Legislating with crayons. Yay!
Yes, I'm here for this.
Not everything at the state capitol involves legislating, because when Republicans get involved, they do other things. We say it all the time. Colorado Republicans are not serious people when it comes to governing, and they keep proving it. Senate Republicans recently voted against a resolution condemning Trump's January 6 pardons because all of them are terrified of their orange overlord, even though I think at least 20 of those criminals charged in the insurrection were from Colorado. A handful of them have already committed serious crimes since being pardoned, including one guy who was killed by a police officer in Indiana after a traffic stop when he tried to assault a police officer. These are people that were where they should have been, in jail.
And they clearly do not respect the police. This is another example.
Yeah.
And so that hypocrisy of like respecting our peace officers and all that they do and supporting them, and then like letting criminals who caused so much psychological harm on the state capitol police that many of them committed suicide. It is, that thought to me is so upsetting. Like clearly their lives don't matter.
No. And not a single Senate Republican had the guts to say, yeah, this was, I disagree with this. All it is a resolution. It doesn't have any teeth.
No, it doesn't have any teeth. Yeah.
I will say Senate Republicans were disciplined in not saying a bunch of stupid shit on the floor. That will not be the case when it gets to the House, where they've got 22 wacky people there, and including some real gems like someone we're going to talk about next, Boxwine Brandy Bradley. a Republican from Littleton. As regular listeners know, Bradley is nuttier than a bag of squirrels and is hell-bent on trying to become the number one lunatic in the House caucus. And boy, she's been doing a lot of work in the last 6 weeks or so.
She has good hair. She pays for it.
She does, yeah. Her hair is very expensive, as we documented in our last episode. Last month, Bradley threatened to sue the Colorado Times Recorder for, I don't know, reasons that she didn't really explain. Then she publicly called for the arrest of 2 journalists at 9 News for the crime of reporting information. I'm not going to get into what Bradley was belly aching about because it doesn't matter. The key is that truth is her kryptonite. She turned things up to another level in early February, though. The House Committee on Health and Human Services on February 5th killed a bill that sought to direct medical malpractice insurance providers to refuse to offer coverage to Colorado doctors who provide gender-affirming care, because Republicans believe that doctors and teachers and everyone are trying to transgender your kids and whatever that means. Scott Bottoms, Representative Scott There Is No Bottoms of Colorado Springs, claimed without evidence that there are a bunch of lawsuits from people who want to detransition or detrans. I don't. This is all complete horseshit. But several doctors in Colorado testified in the committee hearing in defense of gender-affirming care as a concept and in opposition to the suggestion that the government should be deciding what insurance companies can or cannot offer in coverage plans. The bill was killed. Bradley goes on X and lists the names and pictures of all the people, all the doctors who showed up to testify. You don't do this.
Dox people? No.
I mean, you don't dox people in general, sure, but these are just regular citizens who came to the legislature to testify. And she's calling them out on social media, clearly hoping that her followers will try to intimidate them.
Mm-hmm. And it's just and they came to speak out on their profession, their level of expertise.
Well, but even you can listen to the professionals instead of, and not dox them. I mean, this is a post we put on the screen here, the X post that she put up. She has since deleted this or taken it down. I blacked out.
The internet is forever.
It is. I blacked out all the identifying information here because we're not assholes.
No.
And so we're not going to do this. House Minority Leader Rose Puglisi has really no control over her cuckoo caucus, but she did convince Bradley, as I mentioned, to delete this post. But then Bradley posted something else, a long rant on X about why she is the real victim, I guess, in all of this. Saying that she didn't really dox people, although then she provides a definition in the dictionary that is exactly what she did. I'm not sure what she's doing here. But
maybe it's the unconstitutional constitution. Maybe this dictionary is not the right one.
Yeah, maybe she had the wrong dictionary. This is just gross, though. Can you imagine, in the Northland City Council, just calling out publicly people who just showed up to ask questions?
No, that would literally be insane.
Yeah, it's gross. That's not what...
I think the biggest thing to me is whether or not these doctors live in her district or whatever. As a representative, you represent the state of Colorado and everyone who lives here. And so to do that to your own constituents.
Well, she says in that post that I'm representing my constituents. Really? Your constituents want you to do this? I doubt that.
This culture war stuff specifically around trans folks is just so disheartening because average everyday Americans do not care. No. They do not care. And, egg prices are more expensive than Taco Bell at the moment. So, what is going on there? And people just, especially here in Colorado with our strong libertarian streak, it is your pursuit of happiness. If that's what you want to do, like, hats off to you, my friend. Like, if that's how you want to live your life.
Well, and to your point, this is not lowering the price of groceries or eggs. This is silly stuff.
Yeah, it's like the executive order Trump did banning all 10 trans athletes from the NCAA.
Right.
10.
And meanwhile, he's doing nothing, as we mentioned earlier, about inflation, which is rising.
Yeah,
no. But, at least a couple of trans people now can't play sports.
But only trans women. Nothing about trans men. Like, it's still just like this, like, circle of nonsense. A circle jerk of nonsense.
It is. Though I do want to, before we move on, I do want to make clear that what Brandy Bradley did is above and beyond.
Yeah.
It's not just about the transgender issue. It's about calling out people publicly who come to testify on legislation that would affect them. That's not right. And it should not be allowed, supported, protected in any way.
Completely agree.
All right, let's talk a little more about the Republican Party in Colorado in general.
Hooray.
According to the nutballs at Rhino Watch Colorado, state Republican Chair Dave Williams and his followers have filed a lawsuit against other Republicans who tried to oust him from office in 2024. Here it is. Lawsuit seeks to hold traitor rhinos accountable. This goes back to a story we covered a lot last fall. I don't want to get too much into it, but you can go back and listen to that. But essentially, there were Republicans who tried to get rid of Dave Williams as chair because Dave Williams was not doing anything but lining his own pockets. They held a meeting to vote for different leadership, like in August. And for a while, there was Eli Bremer was saying he was the party chair, but he wasn't. And it's all just absurd. But now they're suing these people for economic and punitive damages, arguing that they spent $100,000 on legal fees. And I guess these people are supposed to pay the county or pay the state party back. No, and then I assume the state party is using more money on this lawsuit.
Yeah.
So this just goes in a never-ending circle.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Ouroboros of the Republican. I mean, that's really what they're doing. They just keep eating themselves up.
Yeah.
And remember, all of this is happening as Colorado Republicans prepare to select a new state party chair in late March. So they're suing each other, sort of, and Britta Horn, one of the people that's being sued, is also running for chair. Two of the people that are suing Britta Horn and others are also running for chair. They're really, really laser focused on elections over there.
Yeah, on winning their seats back in the House, right? They spent $5 million for 3 seats, right?
Yeah,
so put on my Ian hat for a second.
Yeah, keep going. Just keep doing what you're doing. There's also some new weirdness in Jefferson County, a county we talk about a lot because it is the bellwether county in Colorado, and also it's a county that 20 years ago was almost entirely red. Now I don't think there is a Republican elected official in Jefferson County anymore.
So
things are not going to be getting much better for the Jeffco Republicans because their new leader is, kind of scary. Here's 9 News.
The new leader of the Jefferson County Republican Party is a convicted felon who has talked openly about political violence, replacing ballots with bullets, saying, quote, "You can't argue with bullets." Rich Wyatt was elected GOP chair for Jefferson County over the weekend. Wyatt's former gun shop, Gunsmoke, was featured more than a decade ago on the reality TV show American Gun.
Oh, yeah.
Since then, Wyatt served time in prison for conspiracy to sell guns without a license and tax fraud. He tried and failed to get a pardon out of President Trump during his first term in office. So here's what Wyatt said during the Biden administration about coming political violence.
Almost time to switch from ballots to bullets because that's what wins the hearts and minds, and there's no arguing with a bullet. You can argue about ballots, but you cannot argue with bullets.
Wyatt did not respond to my calls and texts today. He replaces Jeffco's former Republican chair, Nancy Pelosi, who upset the far right wing of her party when she criticized the state chairman for calling for the burning of all pride flags.
Do you think this Wyatt guy, when he was standing in front of the Jeffco Republicans who were voting, do you think he presented his criminal record as a reason to vote for him?
I mean, probably, right?
He's probably like, I'm a crook. Vote for me.
Here, like, instead of like your diploma and your resume, it's like, here's my rap sheet. Like,
right.
Pick me. Like, because I don't know, it's top down. The only thing that trickles down, I think, really is like all of this like cultural and like what we accept is okay. So if like we can have a felon as president, then of course he can be chair of a county party.
I guess that's. I mean, I can't argue with your logic there.
Thank you.
But good God, a convicted felon that has served time in prison is now the Jefferson County Republican Party chair. I guess the good news, if you're a Jefferson County Republican, he can't do any worse. The bar is so low that if you elected a Republican to dog catcher, you'd be successful.
I think it's an interesting indicator, though, too, of like the Colorado Republican Party is like not going to get its act together anytime soon. If this is the people like they're electing at the county level, and then the state level is just a complete like tire fire, right?
Yeah,
like,
they're not trying to win elections. This is what they do. They do this shit, and it's bizarre. It's
so weird, and it's. I read so Ballot Ready released a study saying that like 60% of like local seats go uncontested.
Yeah,
and that like 80% of those are won by Republicans. So they don't have, like, all Dems have to do is like literally show up, put a name on a ballot, because like this is
not
nonsense.
have a criminal record.
Yeah. I don't think that would work for us, but that's all we need to do. Go local. I mean, I'm biased. I'm a local elected official, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, when these are the kind of people that are going to be directing the strategy for Jeffco Republicans, it's hard to be real excited if you're a Republican about what comes next.
I didn't even think about that, because in no way did I think any of these people have sort of like a strategy.
All right, fair point. There isn't a strategy.
Yeah.
It's just yelling.
It is. It's like yapping. Yeah.
All right, let's do a couple of quick hits and then we'll get out of here for the week. We've got an update to an update about a story we've been following. We talked recently about the Colorado Springs City Council. They decided to put another question on the ballot this spring about recreational marijuana because they were sad that voters chose twice in November to support allowing recreational marijuana sales in Colorado Springs. They wanted to put it on the ballot again in April, which is not a coincidence because voter turnout in municipal elections is generally much lower than in a November election.
Sadly.
Fortunately for Colorado Springs voters, reality intervened. Here's a headline from the Colorado Sun. Apparently, you can't put this on a municipal ballot. It has to be on a November ballot. So, guess you're going to have to listen to the voters. Weird.
Yeah, that is weird,
Pretty simple concept.
Yeah. Just, we picked. You have to listen to us. I don't know.
They picked twice in November. And they're like, well, maybe you didn't understand what we were asking. No, they got it. Just let it go. You lost. It's over.
Believe the people. They know what they want, apparently.
They do.
Yeah.
And hopefully these people kick out those Colorado Springs City Council members.
I hope so.
Rest in peace, Rod Bockenfeld. The former Republican state representative from Watkins died recently. He served 3 terms in the House after first winning election in 2018, including a stint on the Joint Budget Committee. Bockenfeld did not run for a 4th term in 2024, citing health concerns. If you're not familiar with the name, you might be familiar with a clip that we play quite often on this show. This is Bockenfeld. Totally floss.
Totally floss.
Totally floss. R.I.P., Rod.
R.I.P. I don't think they'll put that on his headstone, though.
Totally floss?
Yeah.
Probably not. I'd take it on mine. But
Is that too mean?
No, not at all. And finally, our gibberish of the week. We've got another twofer. Let's start with Vice President J.D. Vance embarrassing the United States at the Munich Security Conference.
And speaking up and expressing opinions isn't election interference. Even when people express views outside your own country, and even when those people are very influential. And trust me, I say this with all humor. If American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, you guys can survive a few months of Elon Musk.
What a dick.
That's a dick.
Greta I mean, how old is she now? Like,
20?
She's in her 20s? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's saying if you could survive a 12-year-old saying we need to take action on climate change, you can survive Elon Musk. Neat.
Apples and oranges.
Just, different kind of apple. That's all. I guess. And then our second part of our gibberish of the week, here's Kayleigh McElhaney on Fox News trying and failing to